Welcome to my speech on integrating AI into qualitative data analysis with MAXQDA. Just 2 years ago, AI-generated summaries in qualitative research and overall seemed like a distant dream. Today, automatic summarization has become second nature, happening instantly when we're surfing the net and using search engines. And generative AI is now entering the heart of qualitative research. Text comprehension, text interpretation, text production. And with each update, over the past 18 months, AI has become more and more an integral part of MAXQDA, potentially transforming how we conduct qualitative research. In my talk today, I will address several methodological and practical questions related to this development and the integration of AI into qualitative research. So let's start with a simple question. What kind of AI tools does MAXQDA offer? In general, I'm distinguishing between two kinds of AI tools. On the left, you see that I've titled here with single-purpose tools. You could also call them one-click tools, although their option dialogues offer many settings. And it is transcribing, explaining an uncommon term, summarizing your data in many different ways, and supporting your coding procedure with the code development and code assignment. And on the other hand, we have those new multi-purpose tools, you could call them prompt-based tools, that allow us to chat about our data, chat with a document, chat with a selection of coded segments. Let's have a closer look to each of those features. First of all, automatic transcription, which allows us to transform an audio or a video file into a transcript with speaker detection, with pause recognition, and for English also recognition of verbal fillers. So of course, this AI feature is integrated into our processes usually at the very beginning. And from a methodological standpoint, it reduces time for transcription. It also enhances time for data exploration. And these are things to consider when we're talking about automatic transcription. While we're in exploration phase, we may come across some terms that are uncommon to us or some words that we haven't read before. For example, some acronyms or abbreviations, or as here highlighted, Amazon's Mechanical Turk. And we can ask AI Assist in MAXQDA to create an explanation for this, for us, uncommon term. Of course, this usually happens during data exploration phase, and from a methodological standpoint, it helps us to stay close to the data because we don't need to exit MAXQDA, and it also helps us to get a quick answer here. It does not distract our research process where we have to go to those website and to get information about it, gather it, summarize it, and then copy it to MAXQDA. Instead, we can create a kind of a glossary of terms and save it along with our analytical considerations in memos in MAXQDA. Then we have the group of the summarization features of automatic summarization of uncoded data of documents. So we can use these features anytime. And we can summarize an entire document, which is usually stored in a document summary in our document memo. We can summarize any selection within a document, often longer passages, and they are then summarized into an in-document memo in MAXQDA. Or we can use automatic summarization for short passages, and then the summary will be saved as a paraphrase, as a MAXQDA paraphrase for further work, and this is usually a very condensed form of summarization. This summarization of uncoded data usually takes place in the exploration phase, of course, but also in the main analysis phase when we're paraphrasing or summarizing passages of our data, and we could even use it for reporting later on when we're summarizing an entire document to give some glimpses in our method section on whom we have interviewed, for example. From a methodological standpoint, I think that this summarization of uncoded data helps us to explore our data. It gives us an overview of the data. It allows us to compare different cases very easily. And it also lowers the language barrier because we can request a summary for an English text in German or in Spanish. More important from a methodological standpoint than lowering language barriers, it may be that summarization also offers us the opportunity to identify oversights, because the summarization of the AI might focus on a specific aspect or may include an aspect that we may have forgotten during working with the data set. So it may also reduce personal biases. We can also use automatic summarization after we have coded data, and we can use it for coding all the segments that have been coded with a code, for example, and here with the flexibility code where we have 45 coded segments. And if we summarize it all, it's kind of a topic summary, and it is saved within the code memo section that is called code summary. Or when we're going into this summary grid in MAXQDA, we can summarize all the coded segments of a topic per case. For example, the 3 first segments displayed here in the screen from Matteo on flexibility. Or we could even summarize each coded segments on its own, and usually these are summarized into the code comment, and we can continue working with this summary because it is always at hand later on. The integration of this AI feature takes place usually in the main analysis because we need to code our data beforehand. And of course, it may be also included in our reporting phase when we're summarizing up topics and topics per case. I think it's important to mention that from a methodological standpoint, summarization, particularly of coded data, adds in a second layer to the data that allows for a quick access and, for example, for category development. I explained this in a chapter in the research examples book that we will demonstrate in the present in the later at this day. How I used it for single coded segments, for example, there. And then we can use those second layers for topic-based overviews. We can use it for case or group comparison. And as I already mentioned, we could use them for results presentation. AI Assist may also help us to suggest new codes for our text selection. So when we select a piece of text, AI Assist will suggest new codes that are usually grouped into 3 sections. It's thematic codes, more abstract thematic codes, and interpretative codes. Or when we have already coded our data, for example, here we have applied the code friends and family to 41 segments, we could ask AI Assist to suggest subcodes for our code to further differentiate it. The integration of this code development features of AI built in MAXQDA usually happen, of course, during the main analysis phase. And from a methodological standpoint, I think it's important that these code development tools help us to evaluate our own approaches of categorization. It's like asking a second researcher or sitting together in a team discussing the data and saying, well, yeah, what codes could we apply to this segment? How could we differentiate our data or codes further? So it enhances and challenges and elaborates also our own viewpoints and ideas by presenting alternative views to us. And overall, I think it provides a richer understanding of the data. And with the latest update, here we see also AI coding, which means that AI Assist applies a code based on its code name and the code definition to a text and suggests segments that we could code with this code. And alongside with the suggestion, the AI Assist of MAXQDA also presents an argumentation, a reason why the AI tool has selected this segment for this code. Again, the integration of this coding tool takes place during the main analysis. And from a methodological standpoint, my experience is mainly that it really preserves us from missing relevant passages. Actually, it very often presents segments that actually fit and match the code definitions, but we weren't aware of it at all. And it enhances our analytical thinking, because sometimes we have to realize that our code definition followed by the AI in a kind of naive manner leads to segments that show us that we need to clarify our code definitions, that we need to increase the code definition clarity to make the codes more selective, because it also shows us our underlying assumptions. And then we have the multi-purpose tools, chat about a document and chat about a selection of coded segments. They allow us to write any query or prompt in a conversational manner, and they present the answers together with links to the original sources so we can verify the answers. The integration of this chat features is interesting because it can already happen in the exploration phase, it could happen in the main analysis, and we can integrate it for reporting. And from a methodological standpoint, this is a very new and very flexible technique. I should have added powerful here too, because we can ask any question. There is a whole universe of questions we can ask, and that allow us to dive deeper into our data. It's kind of an iterative questioning that supports our reflexive thinking. For example, if we're chatting about the coded segments, we may come up with relationships that we weren't aware of between segments or topics that we didn't realize before. Actually, there are many more, and I will address them throughout the course of my talk. So, the single-purpose features usually are used within one specific step, one specific step in our research process. For example, data preparation, data exploration, during code development and coding. Some of them may be used for reporting and code development or for reporting and data exploration. But when we look at the chat about a document, we have to realize that this is a tool that could be used throughout a large period of our complete research process. This is a little bit true, but in a reduced form also for the chat about coded segments, because for this tool to be used, we need to code our data first. So this also brings in the next question: how to integrate those chats into the analysis. Chatting is a crucial word here, and Paulus and Maroon have currently published an article where they say chatting may not be the best word here, and I agree, it's kind of a prompt-based analysis technique. But we are now familiar with this term chatting because of the most prominent ChatGPT AI tool. But when we're chatting with our data in MAXQDA, we need to learn which prompts make sense for which purpose, how to best write our prompts, and we also need to learn how to work with the outputs. To address the first two learning steps, so which prompts make sense and how to best write prompts, Andreas Müller and I have currently published a blog post where we are covering 5 use cases for documents and code-based chats, ending up in 10 prompts for analyzing interviews with MAXQDA's AI Assist. So we are offering a prompt 1, customizing document summary, or there is a prompt 5, identifying contradictions in an interview. And actually, those 10 prompts are nothing then complete. There are many, many more of them, but they give you a good idea on where to start and to think from a more abstract way on use cases, not on terms of only wordings of simple prompts. When we're talking about especially this chatting, but also about summarization in AI, we need to talk about integration. So what about integration with research methods? The introduction of AI chat and AI summary capabilities in qualitative data analysis has sparked a crucial question. Do we still need coding, or can we skip it? And let's have a closer look to this. 2 weeks ago, I summarized 6 interviews, topic by topic, using the MAXQDA document chat for an evaluation project, and this took me 90 minutes. So this approach was efficient, it was impressive, and it was adequate for the evaluation project. But I think it did not constitute a qualitative research in the traditional sense. Simple automated topic summarization is a very powerful analytical tool, but does not have a robust research method behind it. So from my perspective, it's important that we are thinking of how we are viewing and we are integrating the AI summaries and the chat responses into our analysis. And I suggest to think of AI chat responses and summaries as a kind of secondary data on an intermediary analytical level, as I have labeled it here. So it may be compared to analytical memos in grounded theory, but the AI is now writing not those analytical memos, but the AI is adding in something that could be compared to those analytical memos. And this perspective underscores the importance that we are familiar and we're knowing our own data in detail to efficiently evaluate and verify and integrate the AI results into our analysis. And I think here, answering the question, is coding still necessary? I would say yes, because to not only pull themes using AI and to make sense from the data, coding data, and especially QDA software as MAXQDA plays a crucial role for this verifying and integrating process and bringing together our original data and secondary data level at an analytical level. AI Assist itself, I see not as a research method. Rather, it's a set of very sophisticated tools, very powerful tools we can integrate into established research methods like grounded theory, thematic analysis, qualitative content analysis, or discourse analysis. And for example, Udo Kuckertz and I have currently written a book, Qualitative Content Analysis. Currently, it's only available in German, but and we included a chapter on how to conduct qualitative content analysis and integrate AI Assist into each step of this analysis type. And we are planning to translate this chapter into English too, because we think we need to not expand those existing research methods, but discuss how we can integrate AI tools into those analysis methods. Highly connected with the question on methods relations is the question, what role do we assign AI in our research process? And in the MAXQDA International Conference in Berlin, I already presented this image, but I think it's still a valid image because I see AI Assist as a virtual assistant, not like a robot figure, but comparable to a team member in a hybrid conference. But at the same time, I want to emphasize that this kind of team assistant is very different from a human assistant and has specific characteristics, skills, and strength. So when we look at the strength, we should emphasize that the AI assist is focused. It is immune to personal or social distractions, which when you look at the picture gets clear is an important or maybe play an important role in a discussion group or interpretation group on qualitative data analysis. Then we have this task orientation, because the AI always executes tasks as instructed or nearly does, and very often holds a mirror to our own prompting, to our own understanding, and to our own instructions, because it tells us what you have asked me to do, I did. But kind of when we're looking at the results, we understand that our instruction was not good. It was not what we wanted to do. So it helps us also to clarify our research questions, and our prompts. But this is a side effect here. This is not the typical strength, but the surplus, let's call it. Another strength of AI Assist and AI in general here in generative AI is that it has a vast memory. It can kind of process a whole test book in very short time, it forgets it afterwards. But while it processes it can cite better from it and summarize it better than I could ever do in this time. And it is consistent. So no matter if you're asking it in the morning or if you're asking it in the evening, you will get similar outputs for identical inputs. And actually, there are many more strengths, but I want to also emphasize and discuss the indispensable human factor here, because when we're talking about those massive strengths of AI, we need to ask ourselves, why are we still doing qualitative research and not the AI completely? And I think there are a lot of reasons to be listed here. First of all, it is strategic oversight, because we are guiding the AI to be aligned with our research goals. It is us who are setting the research goals. Of course, the AI can support us with developing it, but luckily the AI has no own research agenda. It helps us to think critically, and we need to do this. We need to formulate and steering questions and guide the AI. And it is our methodological expertise that plays into account here, where we can apply our research methods, knowledge, and our experience. Actually, the AI has processed more methods text than I will ever read in my life. Or I'm guessing this because when these generative AI tools used in MAXQDA, those large language models, usually process a large amount of data, but actually they haven't. The AI has never applied it. It knows methods from hearsay. It does not know how hard it can be to find an interview partner, how to stay with the information, or to come up with a good idea when we need the next step for our analysis. And of course, it's the responsibility that is to us. We are in charge. We have to evaluate, we have to integrate AI outputs and ensure quality. And again, experience is something that is the indispensable human factor here, I think. AI does not know how it is to live in a specific area of the world, or having a cat or a dog, or struggling with a seldom disease. And this brings us also to another question here, and this is the question who is flying the research plane? Is it the human or is it the AI? In each analytical step now, no matter if we're writing a case summary, if we're developing subcodes, we are now faced with a decision. And I think it's important that it should be a conscious decision, but very often it may be an unconscious decision, because the AI features are always saying, click me, or something like this, or at least I feel it sometimes like this. And I think it's a good idea because they are implemented where we need them. But we always need to ask ourselves, who's making the first step here? Is it the AI who creates a summary and then I'm creating a summary and comparing it? Or am I the first person who is creating the summary and then I compare it with the AI? Because when the AI starts first, it may steer us in a direction. I don't think it's a big problem, but what I think it's a big problem if we are not aware of this process that is happening there. I found that we also need to be careful with our wording when we're saying there is a difference between humans and generative AI in qualitative research. So, for example, Microsoft calls many of their AI tools Copilot, and I think this is a very bad metaphor for the research, because we are the persons who are flying the research plane. The AI is more an assistant, and we need to be careful not to humify it and use anthropomorphisms here, like AI assist says or has an opinion. Would be better to say alternative perspective or second perspective here, maybe. Actually, it's very hard to be careful with our wording here, but I think it's always a good idea to remember to think of our wording here. I also want to address an overall question that is connected with the AI usage in general, and it is, what about data privacy? And I think to understand data privacy and to manage it, it's important to understand the technical background of what is happening when you're running a document summary and requesting it in MAXQDA AI Assist. So in your computer, you're sending a query to the MAXQDA server. MAXQDA sends it to the MAXQDA server. The server wraps it, so the large language model understands that you want to create a document summary, creates the document summary using the large language model, and sends back this summary to the MAXQDA server, and this is then sent back to your computer. So looking at this image, we see that it is important that the server here is GDPR compliant, and also this server here is GDPR compliant. But also we need to understand and to ensure what is going on here in the server. And first of all, no queries sent to the MAXQDA server and no queries sent to the large language model are stored. And no data is used for other purposes. So any data you're sending there is not used for training the large language model. And this is, for example, a difference to using ChatGPT for qualitative research, because when we're copying data into ChatGPT and we are not very careful with it, we cannot ensure the servers are GDPR compliant, and we cannot ensure that the data is not stored, because by default, the data is stored for 30 days and can be accessed by AI, by ChatGPT, for example. And please note also that the data sent here, the queries, are stored while they're sent here. They are encrypted. The whole process is very similar for transcription, but here the data, the final transcript is stored on the MAXQDA server, of course, because you need to download it. But please note that it is after you have downloaded, it is deleted after 7 days currently, and you can delete it anytime within these 7-day periods, so it is deleted earlier if you want it to be deleted earlier. So looking at different data types, we see that for sensitive data, if we have consent and we are anonymizing interview data, survey responses, and our observation records and field notes, we can use them with AI Assist, because nothing is stored, it is simply processed, the answer is sent back to MAXQDA, and that's it. Of course, using non-sensitive data with AI Assist is not a problem at all. So we could explain this for non-sensitive terms, even within sensitive data. We can use AI Assist for public literature. There is the question always, if I have the access to the data, to the articles, to the books, then I can process it with AI Assist. This is also true, of course, for public documents and reports and for online comments, which are public too. Please be careful with non-anonymized data and sensitive or other sensitive data where you don't have consent for. This may also be true for organizational internal data, and there may be organizational ethical guidelines you need to consider, of course. So this brings me to my final remarks. First, I think it got clear that we need new competencies here. We need to learn to understand, and we need to manage data privacy. We need to craft good AI chat questions. For example, we need to learn that it is always a good idea to ask the AI chat in MAXQDA to give me reasons to argue why the answer was like this, so we get more high quality results, even better results in the chat. And we need to learn how we could evaluate and we can integrate those AI outputs. It's kind of a craft, but I think we also need some methods discussion around it, how we integrate those AI outputs into our analysis. And this brings me to the second point, the AI Assist role. I think I made clear that from my perspective, the AI Assist tools, especially here, the AI Assist tools in MAXQDA, they enhance research methods. They feature very powerful multiple techniques, but they are not a standalone methods as long as they are not wrapped into a systematic order of sequence of steps we are taking and a description. And as for my knowledge, there are some ideas on how these steps could look like if we're not using established research methods. But I think for the current moment, it's a good idea to look at the existing research methods and integrate AI assist here. I think it became clear that third, data familiarity is crucial for integration. You need it for being able to verify the AI outputs and to enable an informed AI use here. And this also brings me to the fourth point, and this is MAXQDA and the role of MAXQDA in this and of this QDA software, because I think it is important to emphasize that MAXQDA offers structured data. It offers document groups, documents, segments, memos for allowing us to differentiate data we are summarizing, differentiate data we are chatting with, differentiate where we store our data, and it also includes links and also helps us to integrate AI outputs because it allows us to watch and view and analyze our original data alongside with the AI outputs. There are many more benefits. There, it is secure. I think still coding helps us to focus analysis, and coding is very easy in MAXQDA. And of course, there are many other tools in MAXQDA that we could integrate with AI analysis, for example, the visual tools. Yeah, these were my final remarks, and I thank you for your attention. And I'm looking forward to address different questions and comments here that were already mentioned here and written to the question and answer section. Okay, so let's have a look at it, and I will copy them. I think you can scroll through the question and answer section too. So these are the ideas to have I will copy some of them and then we'll address them. I have prepared a slide here so I could copy it here. I would very much like to have a session devoted to the methodological and theoretical scope. Just to make sure, Tamara, could you give me a sign if my screen is still transferred and shared?
Yes, your screen is transferred, is shared correctly, and we can see your slides and we can see the question you copied.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. So this and theoretical scope and implications of being able to chat with the document, this seems like more interviewing a document and something entirely new in the universe of qualitative research. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think this is what is currently going on. How can we shape this? As I've mentioned, we are suggesting different prompts for it. We are suggesting to integrate into existing research methods. Thanks for this note. So then we have this next question. How do you see the ethics related to using the AI assist in terms of use of data and confidentiality, including how we should handle IRB protocols and citation? I am a grad student and I'm concerned how to discuss this in my methods. Yeah, I think the first one in terms of confidentiality and so on is I already covered. So the question remains how we should handle the citation and so on. And actually, there is no current guideline that is available for and true for all universities and all situations. And it's always necessary that you discuss this with your organization, because currently they're developing AI guidelines and how to include it there. So I suggest to have a look around there, but generally it's a good idea to explain what you did in your method section and how you integrated AI results and, for example, showcase and demonstrate an example, how you created those summaries and how they look like and how you further processed them, and importantly, how you ensured that they are correct. I think there are other ones. Let me go here. Okay. There is the next one. How can AI assist in image analysis with MAXQDA, and what steps can be taken to mitigate AI bias during the process? So here we have two questions. AI Assist is not capable currently of working with images. It works with text only. Image support may be added later. And then there is the question on bias and large language models. So I prepared a slide for bias because I thought there may be a question on bias. And actually, large language models reflect, of course, potential bias of their training materials regarding gender, ethnicity, region, and so on. But I think it's a kind of a paradox to demand a bias-free objective research as qualitative researcher. And Susanne Friese also mentioned this, and she said, why do we actually demand unbiased training data, even if our own scientific writings are not free of bias? And I think I treat it the other way around. I think AI Assist can help us, and this is what I learned a lot, help us to reduce our own bias by adding in a new perspective, bringing in something that I've overseen, showing me segments that I might have missed during my coding, giving me different interpretations of the segment when I'm asking the chat for it. So I see it more as a chance, and actually I'm a little bit more afraid that humans are more biased in some use case or some applications than large language models, or not large language models in general, but how we can handle it with large language model, let's say. Okay. So then we have the next one here. Have you yet looked at the intercoder reliability between how you coded versus how the AI coding beta did it? Yes, while developing it, this was our crucial idea. And the idea was that it has a very high agreement with manual coding. But we also realized that the AI, as I explained, very often suggested several segments that really fit the code definition, but we weren't aware of. So actually, if we didn't receive a high quality or high agreement score, it did not mean that it was bad coding, but it showed us again that it is important in qualitative analysis not to look at reliability scores only, but to look what is going on here and to take the differences as a chance to improve our coding and to improve our analysis quality. Yeah, then here is another question. It's already answered there, but I will give you a short clue. Is there any official document referring to the sources, models AI Assist uses, and how these sources are used? Yes, there is an explanation. There is a link there. It is using Amazon Bedrock currently, and there are several different models for different purposes. So, and they can be changed in the background there. And their MAXQDA team is always striving to use up-to-date models that perform best at different tasks. Yeah, so you could always rely on this page, for example, if you want to need more information on this. Okay, there is the explanation that GDPR is the EU standard regulation on data management. Thank you. Okay, then there is another one here. Can you speak a bit of the integration of AI assist tools and QTT? Yeah, there is. I think it's kind of a question on how you could integrate it into QTT and the results, and maybe kind of a feature request hidden in this question. I think QTT, for all those who are not familiar with this, is a workspace in MAXQDA where we can collect outputs that we have created in many places in MAXQDA and where we can write insights on them and integrate those insights into more insights. So many of the AI assist outputs can be stored into memos and can be copied somewhere into new documents and so on. And these can be then transferred to QTT. And I think this is the best approach currently to do this, because usually those AI outputs also need a kind of editing process and integrating process before they should be simply stored in QTT, I guess. But there may be so many different use cases that there may be more ways to do this. So actually, there are many more questions. I'm only answering now the questions in the Q&A chat, and I think, oh, sorry, I get this again. There's a problem with copying. I hope I can cover most of them. If only public sources can be used or with specific consent, the actual use of AI assist seems limited. Yes and no, but because if you're anonymizing your data, and if you look at the massive amount of data you can use without any consent, you can scrap web pages, you can do collect many of the data, which is often publicly available, then I don't think it is limited very much. So I think here there was again the question, could you please summarize the question, is AI assist a method? I hope I did this at the end again. For me, AI assist is not a method. AI assist offers very powerful tools that could be combined into wrapped up into a methods, or could be used within a method that already exists. Not a method, but more a kind of complementary to and facilitator of our own. Yes, I've visited some sessions here in the MAXDAYS already, and there you can see how AI Assist has been integrated into the research process and allowed to further deepen the analysis process. So it's a kind of, not a method, but it's a method accelerator, a method supporter. I think there are some specific questions there. Very interesting one here. Is it ethical to use AI to write transcripts out of non-verbatim interviews that are only note taken, where the interview is refused to be recorded? Actually, this is hard for me to address, because I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly, because if I cannot transcribe it if I have only notes. So maybe the others may respond to it in the chat. I'm sorry, I don't have a really good answer to this question now. Yeah, then we have another comment here. I think the strength of the strength of AI is that you can use the prompt to do a spot check of your results. Yes, this is, as I currently said, it's kind of an integration into our current workflow, where we have a second, I wanted to say opinion, no, sorry, a second perspective on our viewpoints of the data. Okay, I think there is 1 minute left, so let me check at the bottom of the current chat if there are other questions that Here is the link to the slides. Okay, unbiased. I think I have addressed most of the questions. If there is one really demanding question, please write it in the chat or in the in the question and answer section now, and I'm happy to answer it.
Thank you, Stefan, very much. I was also taking a look at the chat, and I think that we addressed everything so far. I hope I didn't miss something, but it was a very, very active conversation going on, and I think that you definitely gave a lot of food for thought for people, and there is a lot of thank you and a lot of congratulations coming in. Some people were wondering about languages, if there are options to work with languages that are currently not included.
I think, I'm not sure, but I guess there is also a room where feature requests could be added in the MAXDAYS. And I think this is the perfect place. Definitely. So maybe you could guide us where those feature requests could be placed.
So it is now placed with me, and I will definitely take that back to the developers.
You will. That's perfect. And actually, please note that the MAXQDA team needs to take into account what languages are best supported by AI models, and those are then included into MAXQDA AI Assist. And please note that the chat currently is language open, so you can work with any data in the chat in any language, ask questions in any language, and you may end up with the answer in English, but still you can ask questions in a specific, in usually nearly any language, I guess.
And we are, of course, also carefully reading all your comments here, and we are taking notes of all feature requests that are uttered throughout MAXDAYS. And at the end, you will also get a evaluation form from us. So if you have any feature requests or questions or comments that you didn't share with us yet, then you will always have the chance to pose it at the very end of the event. But all the moderators are, of course, also taking note of all your requests here.
Perfect. Okay. That's great. So I wish all of you very nice and well usage of AI Assist, and looking forward for your comments on the usage.
Thank you very much for this excellent session, Stefan. It was lovely to have you here. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a lovely conference.